Good evening, family. Welcome to Midweek Meet Up. Tonight we're live, so all the mistakes I make, you see live. No opportunity to correct them. I hope you're having a good week so far. First, please protect yourself from this dangerous cold that is out there right now. And also, please check on your neighbors, especially those that live alone, and especially seniors. Give them a call, reach out to them, just make sure they're all right. If you know somebody that doesn't have heat, tell them to go to a nearby place where they can get the warming center and not live in this night in this cold by themselves. First, some news items. I was really angry this past week to find out that CVS store at 79th and Halsted that closed some time ago, they have now rented out the store to a beauty shop. The last thing we need in this community is another beauty shop, particularly at a prime corner at 79th and Halsted. We're having two brand new apartment buildings built, one on Halsted, one on Green. And now we need a beauty shop. We've been trying to get a breakfast shop to come in there and a breakfast restaurant to come in there. So I invite you to do what I've done in a letter that I wrote today, to call Sherry Drake. Sherry Drake is the location manager for all of the CVS stores. Remember, they closed a couple years ago without any warning, just shut their doors and closed up one day. And now, 2 years later, they're renting it out to a beauty supply store. So call Sherry Drake, 312-764-4771, 312-764-4771. Second, I'd been in the news the last few days, and I was so angry and saddened to hear the acquittal of Danny Penny. He is the one who murdered Jordan Neely on the subway train in New York, a black man. This man was in the train, they were saying angry, and he was irritated, he was talking out loud, and he was going and saying them things, walking up and down the train. So Danny decided to grab him, he's a former Marine, and began to put a chokehold on him. That chokehold killed him. First of all, you tell me that some people on the train can't contain somebody until we get the police, but he keeps choking him while Jordan is yelling out, "I can't breathe." We heard this before with George Floyd. I thought we learned at this point in time, when somebody's yelling they can't breathe, they really can't breathe. And rather than loosening up, he kept that tight until Jordan Neely could no longer breathe and he died. He said in his court case that this man was irritated and he was angry. He was walking up and down the train and saying things to all kinds of people. First of all, he had a mental health condition. But second of all, what he was saying to people was, "I'm hungry. I'm hungry. I haven't had anything to eat." You have to understand, brothers and sisters, that people who have no place to go, people who have no shelter, nothing to eat, no home to go to, that are out in the streets in this kind of weather, those who have nothing to eat, go between depression and anger. And guess what? You and I might be depressed or angry if we were in the same condition. He was agitated and angry because he felt alone, abandoned, hungry, and in the cold. Sisters and brothers, we have to get a kind of sensitivity about us that when we see people like this, rather than attack them, talk to them. Say, "Can I get you something to eat? Can I take something for you? Here's a few dollars to go buy yourself something to eat." We also got to go after, and we ought to be arresting the society that creates so many hungry and so many homeless out on our streets every single day. People will die this winter in Chicago, as happened last winter. They will die out here just because there was no place for them to go. Every shelter in Chicago is filled. The police came to us, as I mentioned last week, asking, "Can we get them in a shelter?" So I'm not only upset that this man went off and was acquitted, but I'm even more upset that this is a country where people are being killed and people are dying from hunger and from the cold because we don't care about them. Thirdly, I call you to be very vocal and very vigilant about watching what's going on with these appointments. It's Mr. Tom Homan, who was just appointed by President-elect Trump to take over the border control and saying he's going to round up everybody. Chicago is going to be ground zero. Now, I know there's all sorts of great anger out here because it's been pitted by government to turn us against each other and neglect one another and not let people care about each other. So we blame somebody else for the conditions that this country has put us in. But let's not blame other victims. Let's not turn on one another as the victims. Let us not be bamboozled by what they've tried to put in our heads. We've abandoned and neglected the poor and the homeless in this city and in this country long before migrants were coming from Venezuela or from Haiti. We've always turned our backs on the migrants. We've always turned our backs on the poor. We've always turned our backs on the homeless. So we must fight against a system that has hungry and homeless people in our streets, who has abandoned the poor in our country, as well as not allow this to continue to go on and turn on one another instead of focusing the attention on the government, who ought to be caring for people, who ought to be reaching out, opening shelters, all these abandoned buildings in our communities. But people are on the street freezing, hungry, and dying. They cannot allow these folks to be rounded up like cattle. They're human beings. And even though there may be some disagreement on how about migrants here and not here, put that aside. And let's remember, these are human lives. And any human life that is out on the street, any human life that is hungry, is unacceptable in this country. Finally, in this season of shopping and in the season of buying, the season where we're giving gifts and we're getting gifts and we're worried about what we're going to get and what we're going to give somebody else, we have come to a world that acts like everything is for sale nowadays. We live in a world like money can do anything. We pay children just to get good grades. We pay children to do chores in their house. We pay friends to get a ride somewhere, and we used to just give each other rides someplace. We pay friends to say, come help me out to do something in my house or to put something up in my garage. We've gotten to a world where money seems to be behind everything we do, and everybody wants it, and everybody feels like they should get it. And we somehow think money can do anything for us. And we ask each other, how much will you give me to help you do this or help you do that? But then there are the things that money cannot buy. The things you can't get on Amazon. The things you cannot get on eBay. The things money cannot get you. The things that money cannot buy you. And the craziness of it all is, those are the things we need most. Sisters and brothers, our children will forget the toys you brought them, but they will never forget the time you spent with them. The same with adults. Take time with each other. Take time to call somebody up and check them and say, I'm just thinking about you, just saying hello. Take time to stop and visit people. Take time not to reach their family members when it's not a repast or a funeral or a wedding. Take time to reach out to somebody and let them know you're thinking of them. You know how much that can change somebody's day just to know that somebody was thinking about you, somebody cared about you, somebody had you on their mind, or somebody just prayed for you that day. Somebody's just checking to see if you're okay. Those are the things money cannot buy. The friendships, the real relationships, the real caring of one another, not because somebody had to, but because somebody chose to. Understand, there was a family where the father was giving out all these different things to his children. And he gave out portions of his estate, and after his death were given to all of the different children. And one child got so much more than the rest. One child got the house and got so much more money and so many more things. And the father ended the will by saying, the reason I gave Johnny more, because Johnny called me when he didn't need anything. Johnny called just to say hello and how are you, Dad? Please, in this season, take time to reach out, to call, to check on, to talk to visit, to spend time with the real relationships and people in your life. And let us seek in this season the things money can't buy. You can't buy joy. You can't buy peace. You can't buy health. You can't buy love. And guess what? You can't buy real friendship and relationship. Let's seek in this season the things that money can't buy, but the things we need more than anything else. Finally, Peter. Remember Peter at the time when Jesus was being arrested? And they arrested Jesus, and then some people came over to Peter, and they said to Peter, "You're one too. You're one of his." Peter said, "No, I don't know the man." 3 times he denied him. And the people came to him and said, "No, surely you were with us. You sound like him." That really struck me. Who do we sound like? Who do we sound like when we speak? Who do we sound like in our conversations? Who do we sound like when we're talking about events or talking about people or talking about the world? Who do we sound like? Who are we reflecting? Who do we connect ourselves with so much that when people see us, they say, "Surely you must be with him. Surely you must be one of his followers." Because the things you say, the things that you think, the things that you care about, even the ways that your voice even sounds, the things that you talk about, surely you must be with him. Let's try to live our lives. Let's try to live our lives every day. Check yourself. So when people hear you, when people see you, when people watch you, they can say, surely you must be one of his, because you look like him. You sound like him. You act like him. Yes. Will you be accused of being one of Jesus' disciples? Or do you look more like the world that you're seeking to fit in and day out just to get by? I pray that when people look at you and I, somebody will say, surely you must be one of his, because you look like, act like, and sound just like him. Have a blessed end of your week. Be safe, be blessed, take care of one another, and take care of yourself. I love you much. Take care.